And welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Brian Fisher is my name. Great to have you in the conversation. Talked about a whole batch of stuff today already. We're going to get into all of the Bergdahl and Islam deal in the second hour. We're going to talk more about this exchange for the Taliban. Taliban just went off and attacked an airport in Pakistan. The Taliban did this. 28 people are dead. This is after we negotiated the release of the Gitmo 5. So this just shows you exactly where negotiating with terrorists gets you doesn't accomplish anything. It just simply empowers them. Well, let's go to the phones, 888-589-8840. Let's begin with Ruth in Fort Smith, Arkansas. Ruth, welcome. What's on your mind?
Well, hello. I'm kind of a new listener. I just actually got the station yesterday.
Well, good. I'm glad how'd you happen to find us?
Well, I kind of live in a dead zone, and so I just kind of happened to find a place in my trailer that I can use it.
That's terrific. Well, what's on your mind?
Well, I have really three comments or statements. One is our government, our Constitution was set up for our state governments to protect the states from the federal government.
Yes.
And until we can get good state government to stand up like Jan Brewer is doing in Arizona, if we can get good politicians in our state, or good people, I'll say, because I think politicians has about had their time in office way too long. We need people in there that's common people that think common ways. They're detached from the common person. And here in Arkansas, we have a Democratic governor, and we don't need another one like him, because I had called when Obamacare passed to find out if him and the Attorney General was going to fight it because it was unconstitutional. And their exact words to me was, not the governor, but the guy that took the call in the Attorney General's office, said, "Oh, no, our governor would never go against Obama."
Mm-hmm.
And so we don't need another governor like what we have up there. So I think that people need to look at the candidates running, and when they say they will follow his footsteps, I think that we need to open our eyes about that. Now, about Obamacare, I know that, it just supposedly had come in. Well, when my husband died, he was not given the choice of a surgery that could save his life or could not save his life. In other words, my husband was denied the right to choose.
Now, was he in the Medicare system? Was he in VA system?
No, he was in the Medicare system.
Medicare system, and he was denied the opportunity to choose a life-extending surgery, maybe life-saving surgery. Never was given that option.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And when they did not do that, he was going in for surgery, and they had to take him off his Plavix because he was on blood thinners. And instead of them telling us about the clot in his neck, they didn't speak of it at all, and they didn't ask him, or he didn't discuss it with me, and we discussed everything, about anything that would affect his ability to either live or not.
Mm-hmm.
And
see, that's one of the reasons, Ruth, why I think we just ought to get the government out of health care altogether. Because, your husband you were in a situation where the decision about whether your husband got life-saving, life-extending surgery was in the hands of bureaucrats. It wasn't between you and your doctor. That's a decision that ought to be reserved exclusively for you to make with your doctor. You're the ones that can calibrate all the risk factors, all the various variables that go into a decision like that, and then you get to make the decision. Well, that option wasn't given to you. Why? Because the government runs the Medicare system. And I don't know what the ultimate solution is. I believe we ought to start with some kind of a voucher system where we just, instead of having government pay Medicare bills. We just give a voucher to senior citizens. They can go out and buy the health care program, the health care insurance that suits them best. You'd have this tremendous competition. Every insurance company in the land, you just take your hands off, get the government out of it, let insurance companies offer to senior citizens whatever package of benefits they want with the prices that reflect that, and then let senior citizens decide what they want. Let insurance companies compete for senior citizens' health care dollars. And then eventually we just back the government out of that whole deal altogether, return that money, all that tax money, return it to the citizens, and let them make their own decisions about their health care. Well, Ruth, thank you for the call, and I'm sorry to hear about what happened with your husband. I mean, that's distressingly common when you have the government involved in health care. I'm looking at a story here about the VA. There are 50, and this is from the VA itself. They've done an internal audit, and they have discovered that there are more than 57,000 patients that are still waiting for initial medical appointments at VA hospitals and clinics 90 days or more after requesting them. So 50,000 veterans out there, they requested an appointment. They've been waiting for more than 3 months, 57,000 of them, an additional 64,000 who enrolled in the VA health system over the past 10 years have never had appointments. And the VA has finally said, look, this goal of making sure we see everybody within 14 days, it's unrealistic. We're never going to do it. We've had to lie, cheat, and steal to get people to think we were doing that. It's not attainable. No way we can get to vets within 14 days after they request an appointment. So, again, my contention, we just need to back the government out of health care altogether. I'm not talking about going cold turkey. We don't want to do that, but we need to get on a glide path where we back the government completely out of health care, get government bureaucrats out of the way. Don't let them intrude between the decision that patients are making with their doctors. All right, let's go to Matt in West Texas. Matt, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind? Matt, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, go right ahead.
I just had a comment about, you were talking about the imams being invited to the churches to pray and have services.
Yeah.
It seems like to me, when you try to discuss that with someone, even another Christian or whatever, if they're really bent on that, then there's no way to really say, well, the Bible, shows us this about that, and we shouldn't do it. It's a bad thing. So my question is there any kind of evidence, if we are just going to flat say it's about peace and understanding and coexistence, is there any evidence that the imams have invited Christians to their mosque to do the same thing, just to turn about so it's a situation where both sides are working,
where it's equitable and the invitation is reciprocated. Well, I'll tell you, Matt, it doesn't happen. It never happens. You never hear about that happen. Christians are not invited to come into a mosque and pray in Jesus' name. They won't allow it. Doesn't happen. I think Newt Gingrich.
I'm not sure that's the answer, but I mean, if you see someone who's trying to be nice or wants you to be nice to them and peaceful and coexistent with them, yet they don't want to be that with you, I don't believe if I was the one invited or whether that I'd really even go. But
yeah, I think you're right, Matt. They're just playing you for a chump and a sucker. And I've often said, I think Newt Gingrich said this several years ago, our policy with the building of mosques, for instance, ought to be reciprocity. We'll let you build one mosque in America for every church that you let us build in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia funds 80% of the mosques in the United States. So we say to Saudi Arabia, we'll let you build one mosque in the United States for every church that you let us build in Saudi Arabia. That would bring the building of mosques to a screeching halt. They are not about to reciprocate. All right, Matt, good call. Thank you. Let's go to Rose, Lakeland, Florida. Rose, welcome. What's on your mind?
Years ago, I read or learned that actually the president is supposed to be more of a figurehead, and yet our current president is an elected dictator and seems to think it's his right. And I would like to know just what does the Constitution permit him to be and do, and can, when he tells us we got to do this and so that's ridiculous, why can't we just ignore him?
Mm-hmm. Well, I appreciate the call, Rose, and that's really the issue that we're dealing with right now with this Taliban negotiation, the 30-day statutory requirement that he informed Congress, which he did not observe. And the reality is what the president takes an oath. It's a constitutional oath, and a part of the oath that he is required to take is that he will see that the laws are faithfully executed. To see that the laws are faithfully executed. That is a solemn oath that he takes before God. He puts his hand on the Bible, raises his right hand, and he swears with the help of God that he will see that the laws are faithfully executed. Now, the reason that's in the Constitution is because of the founders established a separation of powers. It was the responsibility of Congress to pass laws. It was the responsibility of the president to implement laws, to execute them. He has absolutely no authority, none whatsoever, to make up laws, to change laws, to bend laws, to decide which laws he will uphold and which ones he won't. None of that does he have the constitutional right to do. His job is to take the laws that have been passed by Congress and faithfully execute them. If he doesn't like a law that Congress has passed, then he can veto it. If they override his veto, then he has a responsibility to see that that law, even if he doesn't like it, is faithfully executed. We've got a president for which that oath means nothing.